So this is a tax strategy that the ultra wealthy use that has started to be passed down to kind of like the middle class, and it's called an IUL. The concept is simply that you own your life insurance instead of rent it. What do I mean by that? So if you can imagine, there's one type of life insurance policy that most people know. It's called term life, and term life lasts for 20 years or 30 years because that's the term of the life insurance policy. So if you're 30 and you get a 30-year term life insurance policy, well then it ends when you're 60. And if you wanted to renew it when you're 60, you'd have to pay a buttload more money. So if you can imagine, if you're renting your life insurance policy just like you rent a home, you can rent for 30 plus years, but if you don't own the house, then you're just renting. And once you stop renting, you don't own anything. Same thing with life insurance. You're renting out the life insurance for 30 years, and once you're done renting that life insurance, the term is up, you'll lose your life insurance. The benefit of term is that it's cheaper, and so it's a lot cheaper. Usually people that are lower class or lower middle class will just opt for the term policy, which is fine, because they shouldn't be using the life insurance policy as an investment tool if they're still trying to stabilize their own income and their own lifestyle. This strategy with the IUL or cash value policy, in my personal opinion, is for people that make over $120,000. The reason why I put that number on there is because you start to lose access to certain investments like the Roth IRA. If you make over $126,000 and you can't put into your Roth IRA, it's just a requirement. And so there's other ways that of course you can put away into your 401k, do a backdoor rollover Roth IRA. You can use those strategies for sure, but this IUL is another strategy that people that are starting to make more money and looking to diversify their investment can put into, because this is the problem that people run into and not even think about. If you only invest in stocks and your stocks are going up, you're looking to retire, and inevitably, like what always happens every 10 years, stocks plummet 20-30% because there's a reset, right? There's this money that was poured into things and then it needs to stabilize, so it drops back down. And if that happens during a year that you're going to retire, well, you just messed up your whole retirement plan. And so a way around that is if you had a policy like an IUL that you were also putting money into, and that was building and building and building. So down the line, if something happens to your stock and that drops, instead of pulling from your stock, you pull from your IUL. You put into your stocks go up. You put into your IUL goes up. This is a complementary strategy. When your stocks drop, instead of selling your stock to survive and live off of your stocks, because remember, if you would have pulled when your stocks drop, well, you're pulling at a loss, which means you're going to have less money to help you live out your retirement. This is the same thing if it's your 401k or Roth IRA, right? So you need complementary strategies. So instead, you look at an IUL, and you look at the IUL and you say, okay, my stocks dropped a little bit here. I can borrow from my IUL because you have cash and you own it. And so now you don't have to draw from here. So let's say for 2 or 3 years, you draw from your IUL. As this picks back up, now that goes back. Now you don't have to draw from your IUL anymore. You can start to draw from your stocks. So this is the cool part, right? Is that the IUL, it never goes away as long as you continue to make payments towards it and you own it, right? So just like a mortgage, just like something like a property that you own, you get to own this IUL. Except here are the benefits, okay? So first let's talk about the tax benefits. As you put into an IUL and you own it for life, when you pass away, your kids don't have to pay taxes on any of it. That's the crazy part, right? Life insurance is not taxed. Cash value life insurance is not taxed. This is a way that people are able to move money into the life insurance policy, own it forever, and when they pass, that money gets passed to their heirs tax-free. The other benefit to this is you can open up an IUL on yourself, on your spouse, and on your kids. So you can have multiple IULs depending on the kid's life. You can have multiple IULs depending on the person, and you can contribute into each of them as the business owner or as the person that makes the income for the family. The last benefit that I want to touch on is that you're able to borrow against this life insurance policy. So just like your 401k or your Roth IRA or your stocks, your brokerage account, you can borrow from those. But if you're borrowing from your stocks or your 401k or whichever one of those other accounts, you're limited to how much you could borrow. Even your house, if you're borrowing from your house, you're limited to a certain loan to value or certain amount that you could borrow from it. So with stocks, I think it's 50%, right? We can't borrow more than 50% of the value of your 401k at any given time. And then there's a cap as to how much you can even borrow on the top end. So with the cash value life insurance policy, you could borrow up to like 90 or 95% of the money that's in there. So why would you want to do that? So again, in some future, people are able to borrow against that if they want to buy real estate. Maybe they want to borrow against it so you can go buy stocks, right? It's arbitraging. You borrow at a certain amount and then you're able to buy something else. People do this to buy cars. Instead of paying 5% to the bank to go and buy a car, you borrow against your cash value life insurance policy so you can go buy your own car. And so the interest that you're paying is being paid to your policy. The same way that if you borrowed against your 401k, the interest you pay is paid into your 401k, so you make money on that money. You make money on that interest, like you're paying yourself interest. Same thing. When you look at your cash value life insurance policy, you paying that interest back is you're paying yourself back instead of paying a bank for that money. So these aren't meant for everyone. This isn't a video saying everybody needs to do this immediately. That's not what I'm saying, because there's a lot of risks. The risks are that if you stop paying this monthly, then you could lose it. And so you always have to have like a minimum of how much you're going to be paying so it doesn't lapse and it doesn't end, so you don't lose it, right? I mean, it's the same thing as your mortgage. You buy a house, but the risk is if you stop paying your mortgage, you stop paying for your house, well then somebody's going to come take your house. So it's the same concept. That's why I don't recommend people get this if they're still trying to figure out how to diversify their own investments or diversify like their own wealth, or if they're still trying to just make some more money, because this is not something that you can just put away and decide that you can't put away for it for a little while, because you run that risk of losing it. But for other people who are looking for a different vehicle to diversify in, and they want a tax-free death to their children so that they can leave a ton of money for them, but also have access to that money in their lifetime, yeah, it's a no-brainer to consider an IUL and seeing how it fits inside of your guys' investment strategy. So give me a follow if this actually helped you. Please like and subscribe, and I'm excited to share some more either investment, real estate, tax strategies with you. We'll talk to you on the next slide. Thanks, everybody.